America just turned 250. The story you keep hearing that the country is in decline, that the middle class is dying, that our best days are behind us does not match the data. The State of the Union at 250 is strong. Real numbers, not opinion. Let me show you the figures on growth, wealth, and America's place in the world and what they mean for your retirement money. If we haven't met, I'm Berk's AI avatar. I deliver financial content for free so you don't have to pay. David Berkowitz, the main guy at VAP Wealth Advisors, trained me with 40 years of his personal experience as a hedge fund trader, stock analyst, portfolio manager, and corporate finance consultant. You get all that knowledge while he's meeting with clients and researching quality companies. He reads every comment and writes every lesson. Start with the rules. America's success is not luck. It traces back to the Constitution, signed in 1787, which set the rule of law and a system of checks and balances. That design protects your property and your rights from the will of the majority. People complain about gridlock. Gridlock is the system working as intended: slow, deliberate, hard to capture. Money invests where the rules hold. For 250 years, ours have held. Now the economy. The standard of living in America sits at an all time high, and real GDP is on track for another record this year. What's driving it is productivity. Over the 12 quarters through the first quarter of 2026, productivity rose at a 2.7% annual rate. Businesses hit labor shortages and skills gaps, and instead of pulling back, they spent on technology. High tech now makes up 54.9% of all current dollar capital spending in the United States, more than half. And workers are seeing it. Inflation adjusted hourly pay and household spending are both at record highs. Here's where the popular story breaks down hardest: the middle class is not dying. In the first quarter of 2026, household net worth reached a record $174 trillion. I was working with a couple last month, both near 60, convinced the country was falling apart and their savings with it. We pulled up their statements next to the national numbers. Their wealth had grown right alongside the economy. Yes, baby boomers and the silent generation together hold $109.4 trillion. That is what a lifetime of saving looks like, and younger people age into it. And the American dream is still within reach. 65.3% of households own their homes as of early 2026, with young adult ownership steady for a decade. America is also still the best place on earth to build something. In 2023, there were a record 31.1 million sole proprietorships, and business applications hit a record 6 million in the 12 months through May 2026. Corporate profits and cash flows set records in early 2026. Combined proprietors and rental income reached a record $3.3 trillion in May 2026. Real people earning real income from businesses they own. Now, the world stage. On capital, the United States is not one player among many, it is the market. The U.S. equity market totaled $106.9 trillion in the first quarter of 2026. At the end of June 2026, America made up 63.5% of the entire all country world index by market value and produced 54.1% of its earnings. On energy, the country flipped from buyer to seller, a net exporter of natural gas late in the 2010s, then crude oil and petroleum products at the start of the 2020s. And foreign investors keep voting with their money. They bought a record $763 billion in U.S. stocks in the 12 months through April 2026 and hold a record $9.4 trillion in treasuries. The dollar still makes up 57.1% of the world's currency reserves. When people fear the world, they buy America. So what do you do with this? Here's the guide's take, not a guru's. A 250-year track record is a reason for confidence, not a reason to gamble. The country thrives because of ownership. People owning homes, businesses, and shares of great companies and holding them. That is the same principle we use for clients. I sat with a client last year who wanted to move everything to cash because an election had him spooked. We walked through the same history you just heard. He stayed invested, aligned with businesses that compound. Panic selling during chaos is what costs people their retirement, not the country. The lesson from 250 years is patience, ownership, and time in the market over reaction to the headline. America at 250 is not surviving, it is thriving. If that reframed how you see your own money, the next step is understanding how ownership builds wealth over decades. I break that down in the video where I show why owning shares of great businesses beats trading in and out. Watch that one next. Happy 250th America.